Hi, I'm going to be chatting about Monica's film Eating In. She approached me during the second semester at the start to see if I'll edit for her. I agreed to it. I believed really good in the project. It seemed like a really nice project to work on, a bit different to what I'd worked on before. So I thought, oh, it'd be a good challenge. I didn't hear off Monica for a bit due to her filming, and she couldn't get the rushes. Once she finished filming, she couldn't get the rushes to me for a few days, so I asked her to import them all. Saves time for me having to sit there to import, because importing works better on bigger projects, but it can be really time consuming. So I asked her to do that, and then she brought me in the project, and which was great. Everything was imported, and I looked at the frames per second, and she'd been recording in 29.97, which is an American format. It didn't cause that much of a problem, because I could set the Avid project to 29.97. So it just meant that the overall export would be 29.97. If I wanted to get to 25, I would have had to have converted it on an online application and deleted frames. So there's a chance then it could have started jumping, and I was like, I'm not going to do it. I don't feel confident enough to do that and make it look good. So I began to sync the clips, and when they had done the clapperboard, whoever was on the clapperboard hadn't said the clapperboard thing. So halfway through, there was a point where she was going, instead of going scene 2, slate 1, take 4, she was saying slate 4, take 2. I had no idea when it came to the scenes what audio linked in with what video, which was obviously a bit of a pain when it came to trying to sync it. It took a lot longer than it should have done. The next problem I found out was whilst on set there wasn't a tripod used, which is fine because that's how they work. But during the edit, trying to cut an edit and make it smooth, it's difficult because the position of the camera would move. So it was difficult to make the shots match. The next problem I had was the grain. They'd been using the AF Type 2, and it seems a lot of people have had a problem where it's been bringing up a lot of grain. I tried to de-grain it in After Effects, but it wasn't doing it. It lost its focus really quick. I spoke to Marley, and apparently that you can be working in a 3000 ISO on the AFs without realising, and that's where you're getting the grain from. So I did colour grade it, and the colour grade went well for what I could do. After the first rough cut that I showed Monica, I said to her, you're going to have to go out and you have to refilm some stuff, the cuts were too quick, there wasn't a chance for the films to breathe. So she went out and reshot, and she came back and said she'd used a different camera, which was the Canon 600D. So I'm like, okay, well, right, I'm going to have to use it, that's what you give me. And I put it into the video, and she'd shot in 25 frames, so we got a 29.97 session, and then a 25 frame per second going into Avid, which caused a bit of a problem. There was a lot of lagging because of the different in frame rates. However, I continued to use it because when it exported, I checked when it exported, and it did export okay. So we used it that way. Although the one thing was that the grain wasn't the same. I did have to add grain, but there wasn't enough grain to make it match up, to make it look as if it was off the AF. It was too clear. It wasn't right. But there wasn't a lot I could do at this point, so I just had to continue with it. Halfway through, I took it into Pro Tools and I did all the Foley for it, which was fun. I had Stuart giving me a hand. The Foley went fine, the footsteps. There was a lot of work to be done, especially in the fighting scenes, because it happened so quick and there wasn't a lot of scenes there. I had to use a lot of music because usually the sounds would build up the tension. However, because of how choppy the sound was in the production, I had to redo it out with the film. When it came to almost being finished, there was a problem. The Avid project had corrupted, and we weren't too sure why. I'd moved computers. I'd gone from the edit suite into a normal Mac room, so I was like, "Oh, great, that's probably what's happened." So I moved back to the Mac room, and it still wasn't any good. But there was no reason to why, and I sat there and I had to export the bins that had corrupted and import them into a new session in Avid, which meant it took a lot longer. I would have been finished earlier, but because of the mishap with the bins, I had to wait around to get it imported, go through it, make the changes that hadn't been changed through the sequence, and sort it out that way. There was a stage where I literally just had to say I'd been working on it for a week and a half, and I'd done all I could to it, and I had to say, I can't do any more now. I've got to move on. Which I would have liked to carry on working on it. I'd love to have studied the cameras all in After Effects, but that would have taken like 2 or 3 more days, and I didn't have that time. However, Monica's really good to work with. She was always available if I needed her opinion on something. So yeah, I'd happily work with Monica again. But yeah, it was an enjoyable project, and it did bring up some stumps that I had to try and figure out, but I do kind of like trying to fix problems and stuff, so it's a good learning curve.